More than 50 million people are stuck in the middle of kids, career, and caring for an elderly parent. It's often called the sandwich generation, sandwiched between kids and parents. And more caregiving is becoming a critical issue with growing elderly population and rising medical costs. Joining me today with much needed advice on taking care of our parents while still trying to lead our own lives is Barbara McVicker, the author of this book, It Is Stuck in the Middle. And Barbara, it is a pleasure to have you here. And I'm telling you, for someone who feels like I'm in the sandwich generation, this really hit close to home. And there's a lot of us in the same situation.
A lot of people, about 75 million, and two-thirds of those are in the workforce. So you're right, they're stuck in the middle of kids, career, and now taking care of mom and dad.
What led you to write this book?
I took care of my parents for 10 years, and I came out of a background of research and being a development director. And so kind of those kinds of attributes that I'd learned along the way just fell into thinking about doing a book that could be a lifeline to adult children caregivers as they feel that they're drowning trying to keep all the plates in the air.
Before we go any further, I do want to tell folks that you will be speaking, and folks have a chance to hear you. You will be at Westminster Community, which is on Neal Avenue, and this is a free seminar for folks, and there's the information, September 9th and September 18th, and we hope that folks come out to visit to learn more about what they can do. Because people are hungry for information, Barbara. They really are. You said your book is a lifeline for these folks. We don't have a lot of time today, but I'd like to get to some tips for our viewers as takeaways today. So you gave me some 5 advice tips, and let's start with number 1.
Number 1 is to start sooner than later. We wait way too long, or we think it's not going to happen now, and we put it off, and so we're not getting educated. We are not getting our support systems in place, and now we've become a caregiver.
You say assess parent health and safety. As a child of a parent, how do you do that? Because you're only going about what they tell you, unless you can obviously see signs of something happening.
On my website, I have checklists. And the nice thing about doing a checklist is because it's objective and not subjective, as you see changes in mom and dad, you can hand this checklist over to siblings and get everybody on the same page. And I suggest to people they reassess every 6 months or so to see what's happening with mom and dad. And like I say, it's objective, so there's no conflict or emotion involved in these checklists.
And that's what the other siblings have to understand, too, especially if there are siblings that live close to mom and dad, others that don't, to try to get everybody on the same page with distance in between. That can be difficult, but important.
It is huge. I talk about how families are messy and that even good families become dysfunctional during caregiving. So it is difficult.
You talk about getting organized. Does that mean what they wish when they pass? Does that mean what is encompassed in getting organized? All their papers?
Oh, yes. And again, if you wait too long, they're not there to help you access things. And so, again, I have a checklist on my website that tells everybody what they ought to have, everything from financial to medical to credit cards to Social Security. And you need to amass those, again, sooner than later.
That document checklist. What was your biggest challenge for dealing with your parents?
My biggest challenge was how I don't want to quite use the word stubborn, but I guess that is the word I'm going to use. They didn't want to move. They didn't want to help me get these documents together. And that conflict really took a lot of energy and emotion.
And exhaustion.
Yes.
I mean, on your part, emotional exhaustion. And we talked earlier before we were on the air about how difficult it is when a parent is becoming difficult. Even if they've been agreeable most of their lives, all of a sudden their personality can take a change, and that's hard for a child to watch and deal with.
The disease process can start to really get in the middle of things. And that's why I keep saying, let's do it early. And I talk a lot about 3 generations. We can't just get mom and dad organized. We should be getting ourselves organized at the same time and also having those open discussions with our kids.
Well, again, the book is Stuck in the Middle. We want folks to know that you will be speaking at Westminster Community. It's on Neal Avenue. Again, those seminars are free. We invite folks to go out there, and I'm sure you've seen this building on Neal Avenue, so you're familiar with where it'll be. It's September 9th and 18th, I believe. And do folks have to call and register, Barbara?
They do want them to register, but it is a free event, and it will be filled with all kinds of information and tips.
And there's the phone number. You can also register on the web. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Barbara. Great information, and congratulations on your book.
Thanks, Gail.
Thank you.